It's trick shot time. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different than what I would normally do, because I just recently purchased a new cue from JFlowers Cues and Cases, and I wanted to go ahead and do a little review on this particular cue because, quite frankly, I'm seriously impressed with this cue. But before I do, I want to be upfront and completely transparent, and give you a full disclosure on my relationship with JFlowers. I am not affiliated with them. I do not represent them. I don't receive any money from them. I don't, I just, the stuff that I have from JFlowers, I purchased myself with my own money. However, in the process of dealing with them in purchasing my cue, the extension, and some other things that I got from them, I discovered that one of the owners of JFlowers is a gentleman that I know from back in the days when I shot pool 3 and 4 and 5 nights a week on a competitive level. He worked slash owned the place that I purchased my billiard supplies from. It's a place called University Billiards in Jacksonville, Florida. And there were many a times where I would go into the store, I would purchase something, or I would buy something, or I would ask for advice concerning something related to pool. And there were times where, he would pull a cue off the shelf and let me use it to see what I thought of it, right there on one of the showroom tables. And he's actually the individual who sold me my Predator Z2. So I say that all just to be transparent about it, let you guys know what the story is, also let you know that my review on this cue is going to be non-biased. It's going to be truly my thoughts. Like I said, I'm not being paid to do this. I'm not receiving anything from JFlowers. I just, when I decided to purchase a new cue, it was because I'd been playing with an old 1990s player's butt, combined with the Predator Z2. I fell in love with that probably the instant that I tried it out on that showroom floor, and I've been using it ever since. And when I got back into pool, that's when I discovered the existence of carbon fiber shafts. And I got curious because they were constantly being referred to as low deflection cues, which is honestly the reason I bought the Predator Z2 in the first place, was because I wanted a shaft with lower deflection. In fact, I still have my old original player's shaft from 25 plus years ago. Just because I take care of my equipment and stuff, and it's still good, it's still in good shape, it's still playable, but it had more deflection than I liked for the style of pool that I play. And that's what attracted me to the Predator Z2. The fact that it was much less deflection than what I was playing with at the time. And because it was a smaller diameter, I was able to get more precise with my hits on the cue ball, which enabled me to have much better control over the cue ball. And my game exponentially increased at that point in combination with me learning trick shots. I told you guys the story in that first episode, talking about, trick shots do help your pool game. But it was the combination of the Z2 and learning the trick shots that took me from being skill level 5 in the APA to being a Super 7 in the APA in a matter of literally 3 months. Yeah, 5 months, maybe 6 months. It was a very quick change in my game, because I wasn't having to be concerned about deflection so much, and just worrying more about the effect that the spin on the cue ball would have, because when you put extreme spin on a cue ball, right or left English especially, you can actually sit there, if you stay down on your shot until the cue ball makes contact with the object ball like you should, you will actually see the cue ball curve a little. It's not like a Mass A kind of curve, but you will see it curve. It doesn't travel in a straight line when you put extreme spin on the ball. And when you combine that with deflection from a cue, you have to make some serious adjustments to your aim in order to shoot accurately and pocket the balls. Well, the Z2 lowered that deflection rate, so I didn't have to focus on that as much, which meant my adjustment for the aiming wasn't as big. And it took me a couple of months to get used to that. But I've been playing with that ever since. So when I found out about carbon fiber cues and some of the benefits that they had as far as, greater energy transfer, let's see what else, the stiffer hits with it. I heard some people talking about being able to control the cue ball better with it, not having to make as big of adjustments because of deflection. It really piqued my curiosity, because anytime you can take and simplify a shot to where you're not having to think about so much while you're on the shot, it's going to benefit your game. But it's just that simple. If you can go to a table, look at a table, and decide, okay, that's going to be my key ball, and I'm going to run this pattern and figure out for this shot, I'm going to do this. For that shot, I'm going to do that. Whether it's, I'm going to follow it. I'm going to follow it and like roll the cue ball, not force follow it, but I'm going to follow it. I'm going to draw it here. I'm going to put bottom right here, bottom left there. If you can make those decisions before you get down on the table for your first shot, it'll make your life so much more simple when it comes to pocketing the balls, and your shot making will go up tremendously if you can make those decisions before you get down on the first shot. And then while you're down on the shot, you're not having to think about, okay, I'm putting this spin on the cue ball, so I need to adjust my aim for that kind of spin so that I can pocket that ball. If you don't have to think about that when you're down on that shot, then that simplifies it to the point where I aim here, I put this spin on it, the ball goes in the pocket, and it's that simple. If you can keep things simple like that, you'll have a much easier time pocketing balls. which is one of the reasons why I wanted to go ahead and do this review on the JFlowers cue that I bought, because I upgraded the shaft to the SMO shaft and upgraded or changed the tip on it to a Taom Pro Soft tip. And the combination between that tip and the SMO shaft is just so incredibly suited for my game and the way I play pool that I had to do a review. I mean, it was shocking. It didn't take me nearly as long to adjust to this cue as it did for me to adjust to the Predator Z2, because I was already coming from a lower deflection cue to now an even lower deflection cue, which makes aiming so much easier. I mean, guys, you know what? Here, let me do this. I'm going to put this up real quick, a little lower third here. When I say lower deflection, I'm talking ridiculously low deflection. Like, I can aim my cue ball where I want to hit my object ball and take my stroke and not have to worry about the spin kit taking it offline until I'm doing a medium length stroke or medium length shot with a softer stroke with extreme English. Then I have to adjust a little bit for the spin on it. But otherwise, if I'm doing like a medium shot with medium stroke, I'm just aiming right where I need to in order for that ball to go in the pocket. Obviously, you know, thinking about your throw and stuff and whatnot, but nevertheless, it eliminates me having to think about how much adjusting I need to do to compensate for that spin. And and because the deflection level is so low on this cue, most shots, I don't even think about deflection anymore. Like full table shots with more of a firmer stroke, a higher speed, higher powered type stroke. Yes, I do think about that still, because there is enough deflection there that you still need to consider it, but it's so minor that instead of going from, say, a half ball hit to a quarter ball hit to adjust for the deflection and the spin, I'm literally like maybe changing my aim a 16th to a 32nd of a ball. So, you know, a 16th of a ball less than a half ball hit is all I'm having to compensate in order to pocket the balls on these long table the long shots with higher speeds. I'm not having to compensate very much for it. That to me was extremely impressive to start with. One of the other benefits that I've noticed definitely is the energy transfer. For a lot of the shots that I do, and I've especially noticed this in the trick shot environment when I'm practicing those trick shots, I'm having to use virtually half the amount of force and energy that I would be using with my Z2 in order to accomplish the shots. That's how much energy transfer is taking place with this shaft. Literally using half the amount of effort to accomplish the same shot. That is incredibly impressive to me, because in order to shoot accurate shots and in order to have a solid stroke, you have to stay relaxed. The more relaxed you are, the better, the smoother the stroke is going to be, the purer that stroke is going to be. And by having to put in less effort to accomplish the same shot, it allows you to stay relaxed much easier than I did before. So that to me, I mean, is just absolutely freaking incredible. Between the lower deflection, not having to adjust for the aim so much, and the greater energy transfer from the stroke, and allowing me to stay more relaxed. Just in the couple of weeks that I've had this cue, there's been a noticeable change in my accuracy on the table. And I just I can't say enough about those two elements of that, and how impressed I am with this shaft because of those two things. Something else that I noticed, like I just mentioned, was the less effort per shot. So with less effort per shot, you can play the game longer. Like if you get into tournaments and stuff, you know, some of those tournaments can go 6, 8, 10, 12 hours, right? Where you're playing the entire day in some of these tournaments that you can get into. Well, if you're putting in less effort on each shot, and that causes you to stay more relaxed and be more accurate, and you're not having to adjust your aim so much, you're going to be a lot more fresh and a lot less tired when you're reaching those quarterfinal, semifinal matches that you're having to play in those tournaments. Like by the time you've played 5, 6, 7, 8 matches and it's been a long day already, the less effort you've had to put into that long day, the more fresh and relaxed you're going to be by the time you get to those deeper levels. That is an extreme positive for this cue. Yeah, less effort, longevity, more accuracy equals more wins, right? So the next thing that I want to tell you about is less cleaning needed. Now, with my Z2, especially after it's, 20 plus years old now, I was basically having to clean and burnish my shaft in between every match in order to keep that nice, smooth, silky feel to the cue. And that's important because, at least for me, the smoother that cue is and the easier it glides through my bridge, the more relaxed I can be, the more focused on the shot and my aiming and what I'm doing with that shot in that moment. It is easier, and it makes that more possible. Plus, I also get a much better feel for the amount of speed, the amount of force, that I'm putting into the cue and transferring to the cue ball when it's nice and smooth and clean and burnished. Well, with the SMO shaft and this carbon fiber shaft, I've played, in the last 3-4 weeks that I've had it, I've probably played more than 100 hours worth of, well, probably close to 200 hours worth of pool. And I have yet to have to clean that shaft once. Now, I know I will have to clean it at some point, but the fact that I played close to 200 hours worth of pool and have not had to clean it once and still have that nice, clean, silky, smooth feel to the stroke in that shaft. It lets you focus on other things, lets you stay focused on the game, lets you stay focused on what's happening at the table when you're not at the table, So what is your opponent doing? It allows you to focus on that, and you can pick out some of the weaknesses better of your opponent. You can pick out their strengths. You can figure out how to play defenses that'll work in your favor better because you're able to stay more focused on the table. And that's one of the benefits of not having to clean a shaft as much, because you can focus more on what's happening on the table and less on cleaning your shaft and keeping things up and current and feeling good, so that you can play your best game. But again, any good pool player is going to tell you that you're not playing your opponent, you're playing the table. It's you and the table. And that's really what you have to think about. But of course, if you get into a situation, or you start off in a situation because your opponent played a defense on you where you have a very low percentage chance of making a shot, then you want to be able to give yourself the best chance of getting back to the table so that you can run out a table, or you can start pocketing some balls and improve your chances of winning that game or that match. And that's when knowing and understanding the weaknesses of your opponents and the strengths of your opponents can come into play for your benefit, right? So that's why not having to spend time doing cue maintenance or other things during the match helps you with that achieving that aspect of the game. So that's another benefit to this cue. And benefit to a carbon fiber shaft over the old wood shafts that I've noticed in the amount of time that I've owned this one. Another one is it definitely has a more solid hit. All right. With the Z2, I don't know how familiar some of you are with the Z2, but it had a pie wedge construction to it, and I believe it was like 12 pie pieces that were put together to create the shaft. And I've noticed over the many years of me shooting with it that on extremely firm shots, like full table shots, like for example, when I played on 9-foot tables and I had to shoot the cue ball down to the opposite end of the table to pocket a ball down there, but I also needed it to come back down table to set up for another object ball, and having to hit those firmer shots, I would notice a certain vibration in the cue, and I would have to put more effort into those shots than what you would think would be necessary in order to pull those shots off, because there was a little bit of flex in the shaft when you're doing those firm strokes. With this JFlowers SMO shaft, I can put the amount of energy into my stroke that I truly think is necessary for pulling off those shots, and I'm literally putting half the amount of effort into those shots. Again, this goes back to less effort, more longevity, more accuracy, et cetera, et cetera. So you can see how this thing is compounding on itself and making it that much easier for you to shoot straight and shoot solid. And with the more solid hit, you get a positive feedback. And I don't get any of that vibration feel that I got with the Z2 as far as the pie construction of it. It's just a nice solid hit, and the vibrations that come back are due directly to contact with the cue ball. So you know exactly how much force has been transferred when you get that kind of feedback. It's phenomenal. Yes, I am highly praising this cue and this shaft, because in all honesty, in my lifetime of shooting pool, with all the different cues that I've used, from high deflection to low deflection to medium deflection to name brand cues from other cue makers. This is the best cue I have ever shot with. And I'm saying that because for my game, my style of shooting and the way I play the game, I don't think any other cue could beat it. And I've got a couple of friends that have carbon fiber shafts with their cues. One is a common brand name, another is a custom job from another common name for cue makers. I played with both of them. They both had some good things to them. But for my style of play, there were things that I didn't like about it. Like the sound that it gave off. It had that metallic ting sound to it. And it just, I don't like that, because when I hear that kind of sound, I'm used to it meaning I miscued. Because with the Z2, I would get that sort of sound with the Z2 every time I miscued. Right? So the fact that there's no metallic sound to it, no metallic tink to it, is phenomenal. I love it. It sounds and feels just as if though I were playing with a wooden shaft. The only time I notice any kind of tink or metallic sound to it is when I have to do a really firm stroke on it, which is not very often. But even then, it's very minor. And even then, it's similar to what you would expect to get from doing a very firm shot with a wooden cue. So that is one of the things that turned me off on other carbon fiber shafts, was that sound. But this one, it's not there. And when it is there, it's very minor. So that is one aspect that I truly enjoy about this shaft. More precise shot control, as I've mentioned before, vaguely and kind of at a high level aspect of it. When I'm talking more precise shot control, right? I have the 11.8 millimeter version of the SMO shaft. You can get it in a 12.5. I'll show you the website and all the different options that you can get with the particular cue that I personally bought here in a minute. But the more precise shot control, when I'm talking about that, I'm talking the speed, the ability to aim correctly, the amount of deflection is involved, the amount of spin that you're putting on it, whether that be top, bottom, right, left, or a combination thereof. The speed control, right? All of that comes into play with your shot control. I'm going to show you a video here in a minute of a rack that I played just, what was it, Sunday? Yeah, Sunday. Where I ran the rack. Now that's getting more and more common the more I brush off the rust, and it's definitely been more common now that I purchased this cue. And I absolutely love this cue. I cannot sing its praises enough. I've even let some other people shoot with the cue since I've had it, just to see what they were thinking. And they were saying some of the same things I'm saying to you right now. It's solid hit, no tink sound, feels really good in the hand, great energy transfer, great feedback, and commented on the amount of low deflection that was on it. So there's two people that I let shoot with it that have already made up their minds that the next cue that they get is going to be from JFlowers, because of the very things that I'm talking to you about. But again, every cue is different, right? I had one person that commented about the wrap I have on it, but I'll get into that here in a minute with some of the negatives that I've noticed about it. But when it comes to a cue that suits your game, it's a very personal thing. All right. So, or the things that I'm telling you now are things that I've noticed that I like, that fit my game and my style of shooting. But nevertheless, I would highly recommend this cue to anybody. All right. To anybody. But I'm also going to bring that with a caveat and tell you, shoot with it first to see if it's something that you like, that suits your game, because there's no point in spending the money on a cue that you're only later going to be unhappy with and stop playing after a couple of months because it just doesn't fit you. That's what I'm saying. Try them out first, right? Make sure that it works for you. I'm singing its praises because it's worth it. You know, it's worthy of those praises because of the way that I shoot pool. All right. Other people that shoot pool differently than I do, that have a different style than I do, have sung its praises. So, plus you can look on YouTube and see dozens of other reviews on this cue and whatnot. They even go into all the technical specs and everything else, breaking out measurements and calipers and everything else to show it. But the reality is, JFlowers sends a certificate of authenticity with their cues, and what they put on that card is what that cue is. Right? I did all that stuff. I'm not going to bore you with that information, but if that's the kind of information you're looking for, then there's a half a dozen other YouTube channels out there that have done reviews on the SMO and on JFlowers Cues that have gone into that. You know, I think it's Little Chris has done that. What is it? I want to say After Hours Billiards or something like that. I don't want to say Basement Billiards has done one like that, where they have that kind of information on there. If you want that information, you know, you can go to them and look at them. But I can pretty much tell you that my cue, my shaft came with the exact measurements that were on the certificate of authenticity. Because I actually had someone measure the stuff out for me just to make sure. Anyway, back on topic, more precise shot control, right? This cue gives me the kind of feedback I need to be able to be that precise with it and get that cue ball to stop within inches and millimeters or centimeters of where I really want that cue ball to be for my next shot. The video I'm going to show you here in a little bit that I'm going to talk you through as far as what I'm doing, how I'm shooting it, et cetera, and why I did some of the things that I did, will show you precisely that. The shot control that I had with this run out was it was on point. That's all I can say. And speaking of shot control, right? Part of that is your cue ball action, the spin that you're putting on it and how it grabs the rails and everything else. Now that can be affected by environmental conditions, you know, humidity levels, heat, et cetera, but if you familiarize with those conditions and shoot on that table and you know how to adjust for that stuff, then your cue ball action is gonna be on point. I've noticed that I can get more action out of the cue ball with this SMO shaft than I ever did with my Z2. And because of that, I'm reverting back to some of the things that I used to do with my Z2. Most of the time I would refer to clock positions or clock English, right? Like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock English. If you looked at the cue ball as a clock face, like I've demonstrated like I've shown in some of the diagrams on the trick shots. But I used to mainly go all the way out to the edges and use the max on that stuff with the Z2. Occasionally I would use less, so that's when your half tip, 1.5 tip, 2 tip, 2.5, 3 tips worth of English comes into play. But I've noticed with this cue and this shaft, I'm probably going to go back to using that style in addition to the clock method. So in the future going forward, you probably hear me refer to like a 1.5 at 1 o'clock. All right. But that's just because of the action that this tip and this cue puts on this cue ball. Using this, pardon me, I'm sorry, I got an itch. But this tip being a soft tip, it grips the cue ball really well. And with the shaft being stiffer than my Z2 and transferring more energy, it tends to produce more action at the same levels, which is one of the reasons why one of the negatives that I've noticed is a pretty minor negative, and I'll get more into detail about that here when I go over some of the negatives. But just suffice it to say, I can get more action hitting closer to center on the cue ball with this shaft than I can or could with the Z2, which is seriously impressive to me and helps me with that cue ball control and that shot control that I was talking about just a few minutes ago. I already mentioned the fact that making adjustments for spin was easier because you didn't have to consider the deflection as much. So I'm not going to dwell on that point, but just know that that is one of the positives I have noticed about this shaft. And I did purchase an extension after the cue. So I've only had the extension for a week now. And in that week, I've already had to use it several times. And, I used to be skeptical of extensions. And I refrained from using them or getting involved with them because I always figured, well, I can either use a mechanical bridge or I can shoot right-handed. Now, I am right-handed, but I shoot left-handed, so shooting right-handed is a little bit more awkward for me. It doesn't feel quite as natural for me. But on those shots where I would have been forced to lean over the table in an extreme way and have an extreme reach, to reach some shots that right-handed shooters would have no problem getting to, it used to frustrate me because I would have to switch over to my right-hand shooting style to take those shots or use the mechanical bridge, and both were awkward for me. I did get comfortable with the bridge there for a while, but still nowhere near as accurate using the bridge or the right-handed shooting as I am shooting left-handed. And this extension adds very little weight to the cue. It does move the balance point back a bit, but that's a good thing because when I'm using this, the cue is extending way beyond my bridge hand, and with the balance point being moved further back using this extension, it helps that elongated bridge stroke more smoothly and more like one of my regular bridges. And as a result, I'm pocketing these balls that I used to struggle with relative ease in comparison. And the fact that I don't have to take off the butt cushion every single time I go to put it on there, and I can just put it on, screw it in, leave that cushion on there, take the shot, unscrew it, and put it back down on the table, or put it back in the case. I can add it or take it off in seconds, which is beautiful, especially when you're in a tournament where they have like a 30 or 45-second shot clock, right? You're not wasting time trying to take a butt cap out and put an extension on or anything else. You just put it in, screw it on, and go to work. So that was one thing that I found that I just absolutely love about this cue. So that's the positive things. So now what I want to do is I want to go over and mention a couple of the negative things that I've noticed. And one of those is that I have, like when I go to do draw shots, or do extreme English, I'm having to hit higher on the cue ball than I used to. But we're only talking about like maybe an eighth of a tip higher. There's not much of a difference. And if you remember me telling you that I actually get more action on the cue ball with this shaft and tip combination than I did off of my Z2, well, if I'm getting more action and I'm hitting an eighth of a tip higher or closer to center than I used to avoid miscuing, is that really significant? That's why I said it's a minor negative. It's not one that really bothers me, so to speak. Because I can still accomplish all the same stuff and more. Just have to be mindful that I have to hit it a little closer to center, that I can't go quite as far out to the edge of the ball. And I think that has to do with the fact that there's not the flex in the shaft that there is with the Z2. But again, it's not a significant negative, and I wouldn't discourage anyone from purchasing this cue because of that. It's that insignificant, really. When you look at the big picture of things. Another negative: higher speed shots, you still have that squirt or that deflection that you have to take into consideration, which is neither here nor there. I mean, anytime you're shooting pool, the physics of the game, you just have to expect that you're going to get some kind of deflection, some kind of squirt. I honestly don't think that we will ever see a day where a cue is made where there is zero deflection. I just don't think that's possible. You'd literally be breaking physics in order to accomplish that. If someone does, probably won't be in my lifetime. But I'm just saying, that to me is a negative. I mean, you still have to adjust your aim on higher speed shots because of deflection. But hey, that's to be expected, you know. So again, it's not a deal breaker for me. It's me just being nitpicky, basically, and being detail oriented in that nature. So another negative: lizard skin wrap. Not everybody likes the lizard skin wrap. Personally, I do. It has just enough texture to keep the cue in your hand with a light grip. If your hands get sweaty, it doesn't get slippery. It doesn't get extra sticky like leather would, or like a lot of leather does. I personally like it. I enjoy it. But a couple people that I have let use my cue didn't. So that may be a negative for you. To me, it's not. It doesn't bother me. I actually like it. But for some people, that is a negative. So that's why I'm including it here. There is, like I mentioned before, still, pardon me, where's this coming from? Anyway, there's still a mild tink when you're doing high-speed shots or putting additional force into your shots. There is still that mild tink sound to it. It is kind of annoying. However, in the 200 hours or so that I've been shooting with this cue, I've grown accustomed to it, to where I can recognize when I miscue versus when I don't, and I get that solid hit based on the feedback that I get from the cue, from the shaft itself. So the way that feels, the vibration of it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, I can tell that I haven't miscued. So I just recognize that as being, you know what, that's a sound that I gotta get used to with high-speed shots. Again, not a big deal, not a deal breaker. It's definitely not going to detract from all the positives that I mentioned. It's definitely not gonna retract from, you know, how it's affected my game and how it feels in my hand and how well I shoot with it. So, and those really are the only negatives that I found with it. And none of them are major issues to me. For some people, they may be, but that's why I'm bringing that up. That's why I'm trying to be transparent and completely honest with you, giving you both the positives and the negatives of the cue that I've noticed in, you know, close to 200 hours worth of shooting with it. But enough of me talking. I think you guys want to see the cue in action. All right. So in this game, you know, I had been at the table for several hours at this point when I recorded this particular video of where I ran the table out off the break. So I was fairly tired at this point, you know. So you know how difficult it can be to focus when you're tired. Nevertheless, as I stated before, this cue makes it really easy. A lot easier than what I had been shooting with. So let's put that up and let you see that. All right. So again, been at it for 3-4 hours. Hang on a second. Let me make sure this is playing. There we go. All right. So I've been playing for 3-4 hours at this point. I've been practicing some trick shots. I've been running some drills. I played some pool with my buddy Ken, who was sitting on the table next to this. And I decided to go ahead and record this particular rack. I recorded a couple of racks, but this one exemplified what I'm trying to get across with this cue, as far as the review and the effect that it's had on my game. So right now I'm looking at the table. I'm basically determining what will go into a pocket, what won't go into a pocket, positions on the table where I need to be in order to make those balls drop, deciding which one I think I'm going to have an easier time, which suit I'm going to have an easier time shooting and making that run out. And I decided on stripes. So I start with the 11 ball with just a rolling cue ball, which left me with a perfect position that I needed in order to pocket the 13, bring the cue ball down to the short rail and back up to get position on that 10 ball, which could be slightly problematic if I didn't take care of it. And as you can see, I got great shape on it. There was enough clearance that I knew I could make that shot. So here I put a little bit of bottom English on it to pull it back towards the center of the table a little bit to give me shape for that 14-12 in the corner pocket, and with a rolling cue ball. And as you see, both balls dropped. The cue ball comes back. I got shape on the 9 ball. Again, here I put some bottom left on it to get the cue ball to go back up table. They give me a shot at the 8 ball down in this corner pocket. And it was so easy to do with this cue. I mean, you can see how little effort I'm actually putting into these shots, and how much action and how much speed and power is being transferred to the cue ball and into the shot off of how easy and smooth I'm stroking the ball, right? So that gives you an idea of how good this shaft is, right? And just so you can see, because I promised you earlier, I'm going to pull up the JFlowers website and show you the cue that I got with the upgrades that I've got and some of the various options that are available with the cue that I got. So the one I got is the JF 10-11 series. And as you can see, this shot has the black lizard wrap on it, which is what I got. But you can also get it with the blue lizard wrap and have the whole cue. You know, you got the blue tridents on there, and then you got the blue lizard wrap. So it's a beautiful, beautiful cue. But I got it with the black lizard wrap because I preferred that appearance better. And like I said, I like that lizard wrap. Some people don't, but I like the texture. I like the way it feels in my hand. It's excellent. So that is an option that you can get. It comes with the blue lizard, white lizard, and black lizard wraps. I chose the black lizard. As you can see, I chose the SMO shaft, but you can get the classic, the crown, the SMO, and the SMO-W, which is a wood shaft that has a carbon fiber core. I haven't shot with that. I can't really speak to that, but from some of the people that I know who have shot with it, from some of the YouTube videos that I've seen with it, that shaft gets some great reviews too. And they say it feels and sounds more like wood than the regular SMO. That I don't know. That's just hearsay on my part, so don't take my word for that. But that's what I've heard. Your pin, the particular cue that I got only comes with the 3/8 11 pin. Other cues that they make, well, you know, you can get other types of pins involved. I chose the 11.8 millimeter over the 12.5 millimeter just because that's what I was used to shooting with the Z2. And I've grown accustomed to that. I like the way that handles. I like having that precision as far as where on the cue ball I'm striking it. And then the tip options, as you can see, there are quite a few. Everything from the Moray medium that comes with the standard cue, with the standard shaft, to various JFlowers tips, to Kamui, Predator, Taom, Tiger, and How, and Volcar tips. I went with the Taom Pro Soft. I also have word from Eric, one of the owners at JFlowers, that they're currently working on trying to get Horo tips as well. There are a few reviews of Horo tips on YouTube online. I haven't heard anything negative about them, so I'm looking forward to maybe getting one of those for my jump cue and my break cue, just to try them out, see how they work. If you guys want to, you know, if you guys want me to do a review on those once I get those and let you know how I feel about those, then leave a comment let me know that's what you want, and I'll be happy to do that. Otherwise, I probably won't, just because reviews normally just aren't my thing. But back to the Q stuff. As you can see, the weight is 19 ounces, but you have the option of getting a heavier 19.5 ounce Q. I prefer the 19 ounces. It's what I'm used to shooting with. And the other thing was the extension. They have multiple extensions. And the cool part about JFlowers extensions is you can actually combine them. So if, let's say, you get a 3-inch extension, but you can turn around and combine it with a 5-inch extension and have an 8 inches worth of extensions. You could take a 1-inch Q or 1-inch extension and combine it with a 6-inch extension and get a 7-inch extension out of it. Or if you wanted to get really crazy, you could take a 6-inch extension and combine it with an 8-inch extension and get a 14-inch extension on it. That might come in handy on a 9-foot table, So there's the possibility I might purchase another extension, but I went with the 8-inch extension just because I felt like that was going to be the most appropriate for me and my play and where I play. But in the future, I may purchase another extension, whether that be a 3 or 5-inch extension for longer tables and whatnot. You can also have the option of ordering an additional shaft. So, that's the thing. Now, take a look at this price. With all the extra stuff that I had added on to it, it's still less than $700. Add shipping to it, and you might be a little over $700 for a carbon fiber shaft and Q. The whole thing. Q, extension, carbon fiber shaft, all $700 or less. What other company? Hang on a second. Honestly, what other company are you going to get carbon fiber shafts this good for this price? I'm telling you, you cannot beat JFlowers' price and the quality that they have. Eric told me a story, which didn't surprise me. But to give you an idea of the people who own JFlowers, right? They're two Americans. The factory that manufactures these cues is in China, but JFlowers is American owned. All right. The owners of the company bought places in Taiwan so that they could actually go and do monthly visits to the factory where these products are being made to do quality checks. All right. They spent months perfecting the quality of these products just so that they could put out a high quality product at this kind of price, right? So if you haven't considered JFlowers for a cue, for a case, for any of the stuff that they offer, I highly recommend that you do. They're fabulous company. And the customer service, let me tell you what, the customer service is better than any customer service I've had with any other billiards product manufacturing company out there. All right. I can easily write an email to the customer service rep or the person that's in charge of fulfilling my order and ask for an update. I get an update. I can ask, hey, when is this product coming into stock? And they'll tell me. They've even recommended stuff to me as well. I mean, the customer service is exceptional. They follow up with you very well. They communicate well. and they will do everything they can to help you with their purchase, with your purchase. All right. So yeah, if you haven't considered JFlowers, consider them. Consider them. And I'm not saying that because I happen to know one of the owners. I'm saying that because they legitimately gave me bona fide, real quality customer service. And I'm saying that because they gave me that service before we even knew that I knew one of the owners. I was just a nobody to them, and they still gave me that kind of customer service. All right. So yeah, if you haven't considered JFlowers for a cue, for a case, then I highly recommend that you check them out. And I highly recommend that you get the SMO shaft. I really do not think you will regret it. It's just that awesome of a cue. All right. So I'm going to quit rambling because I could go on and on and on and on and on and on and on about this cue. All right. I can't sing its praises enough. So hey, with that, hey, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, comment, let me know what you thought. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any questions. If I didn't answer one of your answer or something for you that you have a question about concerning this particular cue or this shaft, please feel free to ask me in the comments. I will be more than happy to answer that question for you. I do look at the comments, and I do try to answer and comment back to anybody who does comment. So don't be afraid to do that. But yeah, like, subscribe, make a comment, turn on the notifications because there's going to be more videos coming in the future. I actually have the time to do them now. So I plan on making quite a few going forward. So with that said, you guys have a fabulous day, and we'll see you again in another week or two.
Then